Hey guys, Script here with another video. This is this whole show is completely pointless, and this episode is extremely pointless. All this show is meant to do is to create a problem with the prequels, to sort of put a wedge into the existing canon, the existing, the original 6 films, just for the sake of it. Like, there's no reason, it's dumb. So whatever, man, like, this is just whatever, let's get into it. So the show starts off in the 16-year-ago flashback on Brendok, the Witch's Coven planet. So they did a flashback, I think it was episode 3, now they're doing another one. And in this episode, there's going to be a lot of repeated stuff just to add runtime. This is a 20-minute episode that they turned into 35-ish, just by simply putting things in we already knew. So it's pretty pathetic, actually. And for some reason, the Jedi are just walking around in what appears to be metal detectors or weed whackers or something, and Soul's on an iPad. And then Soul finds some moss, which is literally everywhere. It's all over the ground, but for some reason, this particular moss, he has to put into an oversized Ghostbuster ghost trap, and we never actually figure out if that meant anything. He just put it in there, and that's the end of it. Just more runtime. Add 3 minutes of screen time. We don't know what else to do. And then we see the Wookiee with a metal detector. You're just like, what is going on? It's just so bland and boring, and none of the Jedi are talking to each other like while they're working. They're all like within speaking proximity, but they're all just silently doing their jobs. Nobody's talking. There's no interaction. There's no character fun, no development, no banter, nothing. They're just all just blank faces doing their quote jobs. Like, it's so boring, man. It's not Star Wars. Anyway, it's just and then we learn the only reason that Brendok, the planet, has life on it is because of a hyperspace accident. And I'm sure they'll explain that later in the episode. I'm sure we'll find out what that meant. No, we won't. We won't find out what that meant at all, ever. It's just a way to explain this virgins thing they're looking for. Oh, it's just such bad writing. And then the Jedi that was meditating for 10 years, yet keeping his beard trimmed the whole time, when he's younger, right, 16 years before, he starts complaining about wanting to go home to Coruscant. And we also learn that the reason they use metal detectors and ghost traps is to try to find a vergence in the Force. Like, remember when Qui-Gon was like, oh, a vergence in the Force must have created Anakin, and he thought of it as like some sort of mysterious, crazy, amazing thing. In this show, they're walking around trying to find the, quote, vergence in the Force with metal detectors and Ghostbuster ghost traps. It's just, like, why have mystery? Why have mystery when you can have metal detectors? It's just so awful. And then Soul ends up finding the yellow tree and was eavesdropping on the twins, I guess, in the scene from the earlier episode, the earlier flashback episode. So he was there the whole time when they were talking and, like, using the Force to torture little bird things or whatever they were doing. And anyway, he follows them home after Darth Maul Lady gives them crap. He's trying to get a hold of Indara on the comlink, but of course she isn't answering because plot needs. The plot needs her not to answer despite the vicinity. Like, they're all in the same sort of area within a few miles of each other, but she just can't answer. And they never explain why. She just doesn't answer the comlink. That's it. There's no explanation why. There's no, just not answering. Oh, okay. Makes perfect sense. Yeah, the comlink. Like the one that C-3PO used when they were on the Death Star, and then, like, Luke, Han, and Leia were literally in the garbage trash compactor, and it still worked, but he's trying to do it, and Indara doesn't get back to him for no reason, and you don't end up knowing why. It's really deep writing. And then Soul climbs up the Witch's Fortress and snoops on the girls' training session from the earlier episode, or whatever, Witch Sessions training, I don't even know. And this is just, it's boring and dumb, and we're seeing the same things over and over. And then Sol convinces Indara, which is Trinity from Matrix, to go see these Force twins for herself, and Indara gets Wookiee Jedi to break them into the witch's castle thing. So literally the Jedi are breaking and entering. Why don't you just knock on the door? If you're going to talk about... Because we already know, right? We already know that they negotiate, like, oh, if it's okay with you, we'll do the tests with the girls. If it's okay with you, we'll take the girls to Coruscant. So why are you breaking in? We already know that you're not just going to kidnap these kids and that you're going to talk to the parents or the parent or whatever. But for some unknown reason, they just have the Jedi break into the Witch's Coven. Like, why don't you just knock on the door, bro? So they're already, like, making the Jedi doing unnecessary, like, stupid stuff just to, like, make them look bad. Just because, like, you know... Sith are good. You know, Jedi are bad. Leslie Headland. So the Jedi go back and wait for the twins to arrive for testing after we watch the same scene again with Torben getting black eyes and put under some spell. And okay, sure, they go into like what's going on in his mind and what he's seeing, but nothing changes. Like, it's completely pointless. It adds like 4 minutes of runtime to this show that desperately needs runtime, even though it took 4 years. And then Sol wants to train Osha. But Indara says that she's too old. And this is a bad Anakin ripoff. He's too old to do the training, but like, it's the same thing. Even Luke, right? Oh, Luke, you're too old. Like, think of something else. These people suck so bad at writing anything. It's so bad. And so anyway, just a bad Anakin ripoff, and then they waste our time by showing May purposely failing the test, which we already knew she would do. So we're watching the scene that we were told she purposely lied to fail the test, but we need that 3 more minutes of runtime, so we have to watch her do that. Despite the fact that we already know that's what she did. Like, it's just so stupid. It's so, like, it's like patronizing me as a viewer. Like, yeah, you need to see this because you need to, even though I literally know what's going to happen. It's so stupid. And then add Osha telling the truth on her test again. Yawn. We already saw this. Like, they're just adding runtime. Honest to God, like, Leslie Headland wrote like a 30-minute show and they found a way to like drag it out to like 4 hours. Like, it's that bad. And then Indara comes back and tells Sol they won't be taking the twins to Coruscant and that the council feels they have interfered too much already. Okay, whatever. And then they finally get a reading on the twins' midichlorian counts after, like, literally hours after Torben took their blood. I'm not sure why it would take that long. Like, when Qui-Gon took Anakin's blood, he literally, like, sent the signal to Obi-Wan in the ship, and he instantly had the answer, like, literally within seconds. But this took, like, literally, like, 5 hours for Torben to find out what their midichlorian count was. The midichlorians point to signs of avergence because the midichlorian counts are exact for May and Osha. And I guess even twins, you know, they say this can't be the case even for twins, and this is so important and amazing, and yet it's not, because when you're watching it, you're like, whoop-de-doo, who cares? And then Torben freaks out and says they must get the twins, as they're a proof that there's a virgins, and that's what they were looking for. And I just want to go home to Coruscant and don't want to be here, so let's get the twins. It's like his whole motivation. It's so corny. And then he spent 10 years meditating over that. Like, it's just... and ended up killing himself for no reason. Literally, guys, that's why he killed himself. Simply because he went to go get the twins, and that's it. He doesn't even do anything. He does nothing wrong. Nothing. And yet, he just decided to meditate for 10 years and kill himself in the later episodes. It doesn't make any sense. It's so utterly insane. It's insane. Anyway, so he grabs a speeder and he heads to the Coven, and then Darth Malm pushes May to the floor. Like, pretty abusive mom. Like, pushes her down to the floor and tells her, go get mad, and if you want to stop Osha from leaving. It's really, like, off-putting scene. Like, okay, like, abusive mom lady that looks like Darth Maul. Then they show this scene of the witches disagreeing with Anastasia, allowing Osha to leave, which was already provided to us in exposition earlier. We already know that Anastasia was being pressured to not allow her to leave and then chose to allow her to leave through some dialogue. But now we have to watch the scene and waste like 4 more minutes of screen time. And then Anastasia realizes her baby mama is using problems, or excuse me, is causing problems. Anastasia realizes her baby mama is causing problems and tells her to back off, but baby mama ain't having it and has the witches prepare for battle with the Jedi. And then out of nowhere, for no reason, Darth Mom and Torben stand off after like Soul's all like, oh, we're here in peace, man. We don't want any violence. And Anastasia is like, no, we don't want any violence. And then Anastasia out of nowhere just decides to turn into a fart like Merrick from Ahsoka for no reason. And then there's no reason. Like, May is not in danger. Like, Osha is, but May isn't. Like, none of this makes sense. And then Soul gets spooked and stabs the smoke of Anastasia. And then she somehow dies. So her spell is so awesome she turns into a fart, but then you can still stab the fart? It doesn't make sense. It's so bad. I mean, not a very good magic trick if you ask me. And why did any of this happen? There's no logical explanation. It's just pure shallow. And then Darth Mom tries to fight Soul, but he only defends. Whatever, nothing ends up happening. And then she gets mad, and then she decides to turn into a fart as well, and then puts a spell on Chewie's uncle, and he starts attacking Soul and Torben. So then they fight, and during the fight, they keep showing the other witches swaying and moaning, I guess because they're part of the Darth Mom spell. Gotta include them somehow, right? Because otherwise they literally have there's no point in them in the show at all. Whatsoever. And then Indara shows up and subdues Wookiee Jedi, and then uses the Force to end the spell, which makes all the witches pass out or die or whatever, like just for some reason, nobody knows why. And then Disney really loves this like Force pass out stuff, like whether it's Grogu passing out, Luke passing out in The Last Jedi, now the witches pass out or die, I don't even know. And then Indara tells Soul to get the twins. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'm guessing she finally accepts that these witches are a bad influence. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. And then, by the way, the stone witches castle still stays on fire and blows up with zero explanation as to how stone can be conductive. Like, literally, it's a stone fortress that is on fire. And they don't, like, give a reasonable explanation as to how that's possible. They don't. They just leave it. That's it. That's what it is. And then I thought by now that episode 7... the second no, it's just stone burns. Even though you use a kiln to make stone burns. Oh my gosh. Anyway, so then Soul pulls the mouth of Sauron and clenches as hard as he can, but he can't stop the bridge from collapsing. So he's forced to choose, and he chooses to save Osha, and May falls in the pit. And I have no idea why he wouldn't just use the Force directly on, like, the 50-pound girls rather than the super heavy bridge. But I guess that's what the plot needed, right? So that's what they do. The plot needs it, so that's what we do. There's no explanation. Nothing matters. Everything's dumb. And then Indara gets all mad at Soul for interfering when she literally told him to get the girls. So she literally says, go get the girls, and then gets mad at him for interfering. This doesn't make any sense. And then Indara tells Soul and Torben to lie and say all that happened was May burned down the Witch's Coven and they all died. Why lie? Like, there's nothing to lie about. Darth Mom went nuts. Anastasia turned into a fart and freaked Soul out. Like, this is so stupid. They didn't do anything wrong. Like, this is just dumb. Like, there's no reason to lie. Like, Leslie did not write in a compelling reason for the Jedi to lie. Like, there's no reason for them to lie. Just tell the truth. This is what happened. Darth fart, or whatever. Darth Mom went nuts. Anastasia fart. Darth Mom turned into a fart. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know what was going on. Stuff went down. Like, that, you don't need to lie. It's stupid. Anyway, so then Saul feels compelled to lie to Osha and say it was all about the fire. And for some unknown reason, because again, why lie? And all of this is meaningless. It's all meaningless because Osha failed the trials anyway and never became a Jedi and is now putting on gimp masks and contemplating being a sadomasochist. So none of it matters anyway. It's entirely pointless. It's entirely pointless. This whole show is ridiculous. It not only stomps on Lauren, stomps on Anakin, and it just stomps on everything. It's also just so pointless and stupid. There's no point in the show at all. Anyways, then during the end credits, they played some random generic, like, E-grade Star Wars pop song. Like, what? Like, when has this ever happened in Star Wars? Anyways, it's not Star Wars. This is so funny, dude. This is the worst thing ever. And I love that they're going with, like, the pass-out force using all the time. The turning into farts, right? We've done it in Ahsoka, now we've done here. The just no motivation explained for anybody. They just do stuff. There's no reason for any of it. No one knows why anyone does anything. Other than maybe Soul. And that's pretty much it, because even Gimp Mask guys' motivations don't really make a whole lot of sense, because no one was stopping you, bro. It's a big galaxy. Like, what do you care about the Jedi? So it's just... this show sucks so bad. Anyway, this episode sucked so bad. It was hilariously bad. It was hard to get through. I tried hard to get through it. I really had to push, because it sucks. But anyways, guys, let me know in the comment section what you think. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. Always helps the channel. And feel free to check out anything else on my channel, and have a good day.